So once again, we just really press with every video that we are not trainers and assessors. We cannot tick you off and assess you in any of this stuff, even in physical. These videos should never ever be taken as formal training. If you do, and we highly recommend it, if you do want to seek formal training or go and climb with qualified guides to safeguard you, we have recommendations and links on all our videos and all of our pages for people that we highly regard within our area. If you're in a slightly different area, look for people that are qualified to actually teach you these things physically on site, or guides to take you out safely climbing. Again, we are not trainers and assessors. These videos are not formal training. This is going to be quite a basic one. Essentially, all we're going to be looking at is the bare minimum gear that you need to get started lead climbing. So that's going to be different to what you need if you're top roping, and not quite as technical as if you're using trad gear, of course. So sport lead is what we're looking at, which is sort of that intermediate between top rope and between full trad climbing. We'll go into it a lot deeper when we get further into these videos, but essentially you're clipping quick draws, 2 bolts and your rope through that, and that's your safety, as well of course your belay down the bottom. So now we're going to have a look at the bare minimum gear. So bare minimum gear, I would estimate putting a cost on this to get kit for lead climbing approximately $1,000, I would say. So the most expensive part is going to be your rope. Now I always leave my rope when if it's going to be for lead climbing uncoiled and just neatly flaked. Again, we will explain what this means a bit later on, but essentially it just means that my rope is always neat and will be running right, but I don't coil it, I just chuck it in the rope bag unless it's wet and needs to dry out. So the other next crucial part, and big difference from top rope, is that you're going to need quick draws. A good estimate is between 10 to 12 quick draws as an initial kit. This brings us on to helmet, of course. If you're going to be outside at an outdoor crag, you need to have a helmet on pretty much at all times because you never know what's going to come down above you. Chalk bag, that's quite an inexpensive piece of kit, but chalk is so helpful, as you will know if you've done any climbing and used chalk. Next, onto shoes. These shoes are a more expensive version. You can pick up really basic shoes for about $100. So you don't need anything super technical if you're just getting started. So I wouldn't spend a fortune on shoes. I'd get something quite basic to begin with. And then this also brings me on to harness. This is just a quite basic kind of sport harness. It's got enough gear loops to rack whatever you need. It's adjustable, not quite as comfy. I have barely used this harness. I transitioned to a more comfortable, slightly more expensive harness quite quickly, because I was very quickly doing routes that required a lot more gear than I had anticipated. So through that progression, this is basically just a spare harness that I use when I'm climbing with friends who don't own kit. So that's again quite cheap, around $100 for your basic intro harness. Now, on to belay devices, either ATC type tubular device with of course a carabiner, or an auto locking device like a gree with of course again a carabiner. We will explain how all those devices work, and probably look at a lot more different devices, but for now, basic kit, either ATC, gree, ideally both, but we'll get onto that. And then finally, your safety lanyard. So this is when you're at the top of the cliff, you've just done your lead, you're at the anchors and you need to clip into a safety. I love the PAS because each of these is independently rated, so it's highly adjustable and adaptable. And of course you need a extra biner for your safety. That, or another cheap option, is just a long sling with then of course a biner. Again, that can be adjusted if needed and put in half, but it's not as quick to adjust as the PAS, but it is a much cheaper option. The PAS still, it probably only runs at about 60 bucks. So for what it is, I think that's really well worth it. And then of course everything that I've got, everything laid out is on a rope tarp that basically you would then wrap your rope up in and chuck it into your rope bag and the rest of the gear into your crag bag, whatever size that might be. So that's bare minimum gear. In an ideal world, you'd probably want to throw in a couple extra locking carabiners and maybe a couple extra quick draws. Super handy little bits to have. So I'd recommend buying this kind of gear in store somewhere. I highly recommend Pinnacle Sports. If you're Brisbane based, they're in West End, or if you're just anywhere, they do have online store and are super helpful. I think they actually sell a Sport Climb kit if you're aiming to get into it that has everything you need. And I think the only difference between their kit and what I've shown you is that few extra locking beaners. I could be a little bit wrong, but I believe that's the only difference between what I've shown you and what their kit includes. I'm not sure the cost on that one, sorry, but yeah, my rough estimate on getting Sport Climb kit together would be about $1,000 bucks. Alrighty, well, cheers for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Hope you enjoyed it. This is going to be the first in the series of learning to lead climb videos, so super keen to show you guys how to do all that stuff as it gets more and more technical. Alrighty, cheers.